What is up, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of One Big Fire. And today is definitely going to be some fire. We're talking going fast before we went live, and congratulating Chuck on his new toy. And let's get some miles on that bad boy. Let's unlock it all the way.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Chuck, welcome to the podcast. We're going to jump into some cool topics. One of the topics that I'm most interested in hearing your perspective on is definitely what the lender agent relationship of the future is going to look like now that we're post settlement. We're going to dig into that. We're going to talk about mortgage rates going down, and we are also going to talk about. I almost called him a gentleman. I don't want to do that. A human being that was involved, Mr. Seitzer, involved in the big lawsuit that went down a few months ago, and they basically launched a flat fee brokerage. So innovative. Never heard of that before.
Never seen that before.
Never heard of it ever.
It'll probably work this time.
So it'll be interesting. We're going to talk about that. But hey, welcome to the podcast, Chuck. You and I go back a long ways. When I had my team. You and your guys, Brad, Michael, were our preferred lenders. You still are my preferred lender. I actually have a pre-approval going through with your lovely wife right now for a home in Florida that I'm looking by. And you're an entrepreneur, always been at the top of your game, and you're still a young guy. You just brought home a new baby. You want to tell us about your new baby?
My actual baby. I'm having babies too.
Oh, you got human babies, and those are beautiful babies. Don't get me wrong. You and your wife, good-looking people, but you brought home a red baby.
Brought home a red baby. Yeah, I finally it came after a couple of years, but a 296 GTS. It's exciting. I've barely gotten to drive it. I've been traveling a lot. I'm in Columbus right now, and it got delayed, and it finally came. So. It's
you
fun.
worked your ass off for it, brother. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Good. So what do you say, John? What do you want to dig in?
I think before we dive into the first topic, one thing, speaking of going fast and, just our internal conversations over the weekend and heading into, less than, what are we coming up on? Almost 2 weeks away from agent to CEO. And obviously, piggybacking Rock and Rescue. And, I've pumped the brakes a little bit on events as far as just kind of expectations, just in the know for a lot of people that are doing events and what they say and what the actual turnout is. And, I think we weren't really shooting for the moon. I think we were good. We're like, hey, we got a great sponsorship. Hey, we're good. Kind of where we're going to be. We've exceeded all of that. I was just blown away at the amount of caliber of agents that have committed to coming to the land in a couple of weeks to obviously support a great cause with Rock and Rescue, but also, making the investment to, sit in the room with us for a couple of days with agent to CEO. I'm like, when I say I haven't been this excited for an event in a long time, I have not been excited for an event like this in a long time. So it's just really refreshing to see, the turnout and what I think, for you guys, I'm sure you have some takes on it, some perspective on it. But for me, it's just showing what people are hungry for. They're really hungry for what it takes, where we're at in the climate of the season of business. They understand that the days of being reactive and being an agent or being a solopreneur is not going to get them to where they want to go. And they've got to just make the commitment of going from being just an agent to really truly being the CEO of their business, but also the CEO of their life. And I'm really excited for the lineup that we have. We have Kendall, your buddy Mike. We've got Lion, Leo the Lion coming in, plus the four of us in the room. And I'm really, really pumped. And I know, literally, Al, we were talking before we went live. We only got maybe just a few tickets left, and it's sold out. And it's not like we're good. We're damn good marketers, but we ain't throwing this scarcity out. It is literally sold out, which is just wild. I would not have thought we would have got to this point this far.
Yeah, we may have a little rabbit up our sleeve here for, if it does get sold out. I'm guessing, like, look, I forget who I was talking to this morning, and I was like, well, we're 2 weeks before the event, and usually this is right when I start to pucker up a little bit. I'm getting really nervous. I'm like, shit, I gotta sell these tickets. And 2 years ago when we threw this event, right now we had like 20 tickets sold. That was it, and I was like. I was a basket of nerves. I am sleeping like a kitten right now because so we may have a rabbit up our sleeve. If you can't make it to Cleveland, pay attention because we might be launching a live stream. Not saying we will. There's a possibility. We're kind of working on that. But for people that just can't make it for whatever reason, we know there's a handful of them that wanted to come so bad and you couldn't. We're gonna work on taking care of you, but we're super excited. You can go to agent2CEO.com. It's scrolling across the bottom to grab your ticket to the show. And Chuck, speaking of CEO, man, how long? Tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to be growing the number one. I mean, you were successful at the last company you're with, of course. You came over to cross country. What has it been 6-7 years now?
Yeah, I just hit 6 years.
6 years, yeah. It was about a year right after I merged my brokerage into EXP, and we all went on that journey together. So it's about the same amount of time. What got you into the mortgage business, and where did you start? And you didn't start at CEO, I'm sure, right? You worked your way up.
No, I started as an LO in Columbus, where I'm at right now, with actually a guy, Kyle Fees, one of my managers down here, and I sat next to him on my first day in August of 03. So 21 years ago, I was an LO, and then I got promoted to manager and moved to Cuyahoga Falls, and then I moved to Philly and bounced around a little bit. And I became the president of my last company. We had a conflict of vision, and I met Ron, and Ron just gave me the capital infusion I needed to take my shit to the next level, and I couldn't be happier. So life's good.
Awesome.
So now I just have a division at cross country, and technically we're number 2. We have, I think I was just showing a recruit here this morning. I think there's 450 different like cost centers, and I'm number 2, but the number 1 group is Burger, and it's corporate, and it's their, they're more of it's a different model, but I don't want to, take anything away from them. But I beat him one time outright in, probably the last 24 months, only one time. So every other month we're number 2 in units, and we usually end up number 4 in volume, which I'm really proud of that because, a lot of these California and New York guys and Boston guys, as you know, they put up big volume, and we just crush units. So I think we did 571 last month. So,
oh my God, 571 loans last month. Congratulations.
Yeah. I won't even tell you the volume because when I don't even post it anymore because everybody on the East and West Coast, they think I can't do simple math. They're like, there's no way you did that many units and your volume's so low because we're predominantly in Ohio, but
right.
We're at 192,000 average loan size in Ohio.
I was just going to ask you that 192. You're under 200,000 in loan. In your loan amount.
Yeah, dude, it's a winner because when I came over in 2018, our average loan in Ohio was 137. So it's increased significantly.
These two boys know something about working in the lower price ranges.
Yeah. You're speaking to 2 Oklahoma boys. So like we know all about that low price point. And when we still had the brokerage in Lawton, I think our average sales price during that run never crept over 120, 125 is I think that's kind of about our average sales price during that run. And so we understand, all about the units.
Yeah.
That's great though. Congrats, Chuck.
Yeah.
Super excited that you're a partner with obviously you've been a dedicated partner to Rock and Rescue. This year we got Gary LeVox. Chuck always steps up big with his donations, and I'm super grateful for you for that, man. Let's dig into a little bit about what that topic. I've been hearing that we could look forward to a couple little rate cuts here slowly throughout the next 9 to 12 months. What can you tell us and the audience a little bit about what to expect? You think
that's a Loaded question, right? I didn't expect that. I get that one a lot, and I've been wrong way more than I've been right. I think we're going to get one, maybe two, but I've been wrong more than I've been right. I can tell you we're ready, and it's an interesting like power number type situation because you got all these people like sitting in the twos, right? And where I feel when I talk to customers, and I still am very involved on the customer level, I think what we need to do is we need to be able to get rates in the fours to get people to give up their twos, right? So we're in the fives right now. I think even with 1 point, if you could buy it down and get a rate in the fours, I think that's mentally going to help people leave their rate with 2 and 3. They're going to sell their house because they can justify that mentally. I don't know if 5 is going to do it, not to the level where I think the industry needs it. But I think we're going to get there. And I also thought we were going to get there in March of last year. And I was wrong. And, Barry Habib, he usually always gets it right. And he was wrong. And I think we'll get 2 cuts. And I think that's exactly what we need. Anything more than that would probably do more harm than good, in my opinion. But yeah, that's
Chuck, you said something I want to highlight because I easily skate over it, but I think it's important for a lot of folks listening in. You said how connected you are to the customer,
right?
And being head of company, being CEO, and sometimes letting go of that, right? Getting down to where the fire really is, and with the customer. How important is that for you to stay grounded, stay connected to really what's going on in the trenches and what's going on with the customer?
It's critical, and it's so funny because I'm here and I do a lot of recruiting, so I'm recruiting a bunch of people this morning, and I have a very unique advantage because my wife is the #1 female LO for 4 years in a row in Ohio, so she cranks out. I think she did 40 units last month for $9 million. And so that's as you can imagine, we have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I have a 16-year-old as well. So, but she's working 24/7. So no matter where we're at, we were at her family's lake house this weekend, and she's just on the phone. And so I get that perspective as well as watching her interact and talk to other customers. And I'm sitting in the car with her, or we're at house, or I'm watching the kids, and we're playing a tag team. But really where it helps me the most is, I would say my bread and butter and my wheelhouse is recruiting and growing. It helps me relate to what people are looking for, and having my wife be successful on what, how she's built her team, what kind of LOA, what her customers are looking for from a turn time perspective, and just in general, what kind of service that ultimately, we need to provide them compared to our competitors. It's critical. It's a very unique advantage that I didn't build by design. I married into it. So it helps mainly in the recruiting front, but also I enjoy that component of it. And so I do it just by traveling, meeting with the agents, and meeting with the customers. And I've kind of built my group to where I do what I like to do, which is the social aspect of it. We do a lot of events where we bring our customers to them as well. And I get to talk to them about their experience. And unfortunately, when things, don't go well, which happens, right? We're humans. That's typically where people get me involved. So I try to always, turn, lemons into lemonade, right? That's all you can really do, especially in a review driven industry now. So
Chuck, on kind of, to Al's, first question, first topic here that we're kind of unpacking a little bit. Obviously you don't have the crystal ball. However, you do have 21 years riding in this, and, I'm, October be 20 years with Cuz, and I know he's been, 20 plus, Al as well. And so, we've got to ride through some interesting times. And so kind of being able to pull back on kind of your experience over the 21 years, like, how would you convey to, agents or LOs or anybody kind of on the mortgage or real estate side of things that maybe have only been in the game since 1920, which kind of the unicorn years, if you will, being able to ride through, of how to, kind of manage their mental state, their relationships, the day-to-day heading into the future?
I always tell everybody the harder it is, the better, right? Like I want it to be, I don't even know that I'm ready for rates to drop yet because I like less competition. That's one thing I love about Ohio, probably similar to Oklahoma. You don't have mortgage companies lining up to work in Ohio because the loans are smaller. So I always try to take the tough situations and ride them out and find out a way to have it make you better. And so a big mission from our owner, Ron, is we like it when it's hard because it's just, we're eliminating competition. We're buying up competition. That way, when the time is good, we have less competition and we have, it's easier to take market share. And that's my message to everybody every day. Like, yeah, do we want rates to drop? Yeah. There's going to be some good from it. We're going to get a little refinance boom on the lending side, obviously. And I depending on how much they drop, we don't really know the impact on the purchase side, but if we can go another 6 months, another 8 months, there'll be that much less competition because companies they can't survive in this environment. So, and we're well positioned, because we've made very conservative decisions preparing for the worst. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be an ass, right? But and I don't want people to go out of business. I'll certainly recruit them and give them a home, but I like less competition. I like dominating. So
that's a little honey badger attitude right there. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Curious what your thoughts are, or what you're seeing, I should say, with regard to, obviously right now with the new post-settlement procedures that agents have to follow, we're seeing more offers of seller concessions. Seller concessions are not new. They were super popular when there was a big buyer market in 08, 09, 2010. A lot of loans, I should say, could be underwritten with a 6% seller contribution toward closing costs. So that's not new, but it kind of has gone. I don't want to say gone away. I want to hear your perspective. I mean, 500 loans last month. You're seeing a perspective I've never seen. Are you seeing this start to creep back in now where you're seeing more seller concessions on a higher volume amount, meaning maybe before that people were asking for 2% in seller concessions and now it's higher? Have you seen anything like that, since August with these, now they're enforcing all the new laws?
Yeah, it's I have really good perspective on that because I'll talk a little bit about Youngstown, Warren, which it's never went away. Every single, we do about 30 transactions there. I think their average transaction size is still about $1.30, but it's high margin and every single deal has 6%. Every single deal. It's never went away, and it's unique to that market. Akron is 50-50. It's never really went away, same as Cleveland. But if you get it down into Raleigh, Charlotte, it's taboo. So I'm starting to see an uptick in Ohio. North Carolina, it's still not making a comeback yet, which is interesting to me. To me, I don't really notice any difference outside of just all the same shit that the media is constantly pumping into people's minds. To me, it's business as usual, and the better people are just going to take this and they're going to grow with it and navigate it better and work in collaboration. Some people are going to be greedy and some people are going to piss off everybody and not handle the relationship component on the real estate side, right? They're going to be assholes about it. Some people can do that, and maybe they're on the 17th hole and they don't give a shit about long-lasting relationships. Other people I notice are working with, whether it's regardless of what brokerage they're at, they're working with people to figure it out. And to me, that's how I do business. Over the long haul, you want to have those relationships and not piss everybody off. But I think you're going to see the top people continue to thrive and grow in this market. And really, for me, I'm noticing zero difference. And maybe I'm crazy, but I don't notice a single difference on my end from a month ago. So outside of funny Facebook meme posts and shit like that. So
is that too, Chuck? Is that because of where you direct your attention and you don't get caught up in any false narratives or anything else that is being pushed? Like, where do you keep your attention and your focus? Obviously, you said a massive one was staying plugged into the customer. I think that's such a key takeaway for everybody on this call. When you stay in tune to the customer, you really know what's going on and you don't get caught up in a lot of the bullshit that's out there.
I think we did there was so much panic at first, right? And we were working on creating products to be able to finance everything in. And, everybody's focused on that. And then you got all the agencies making decisions and slowly evolving out products to be able to finance, commissions in. And then obviously you have being able to do the seller's concessions. And again, a lot of my groups have never stopped doing that. I think we did so much preparation because of the panic to come out and be first to market with certain products that we were just so prepared for it. And then when it happened, nothing really changed because it really doesn't affect us. This is more on the real estate side, right? Like on the lending side, we're just dealing with referrals, and it's, maybe we might shift up our marketing strategy to target more listings and listing agents because they're going to have a little bit more power. But we really don't notice any difference on our end. And a lot of my best friends who are brokers and owners and top agents, they're top. So I think they're navigating this very differently than the average person or below average person. And again, you got to remember, I don't know what it's the official number, but I'm pretty sure year over year, the real estate agents are down 40 or 50%. So a lot of the people that can't cut it or can't navigate tough situations are already out of the industry. And so you have that new bottom 20%. And I think the top people are navigating it like champions, like they have whether it's TRID or any kind of challenge. We've had so many more on the lending side. I'm in knock on wood, I'm like very, very surprised on how much of a difference I have not noticed.
Yeah, I love that. Because I would love for you to, I know this is another one of the topics, and Al, we want to kind of segue into it a little bit of the agent and lender type of relationship. But Jay, I would love for you to, kind of share, because I know we have a strong kind of opinion of how, it's a winning relationship, but I would love for you to kind of, share your perspective, your take, and, the relationship of lender and agent, really moving into the future. And then obviously being able to get Chuck's side of the fence would be, just as valuable.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've always had, great relationships with lenders, and there's always kind of a mindset of some people have like multiple lenders that they recommend. I liked having one person that I went to bat and had the best products and that could provide the best client experience. And really, you want to strengthen that relationship so much so that they would do anything for you and your business, because, it's a win-win. Everybody wins. The consumer wins, you win, your lender wins. So yeah, I think, the best agents have great relationships with the best lenders. It's one of the value propositions that you have as an agent is knowing where to go to get the best financing, the best overall deal. And it's not just, as agents, I think, a lot of people must think that real estate agents don't do a lot, but I mean, the difference a great agent and lender partnership can make in a real estate transaction over the lifetime of owning a property is significant. And so, I feel like the best agents already get that. They have those relationships and they help to provide the best advice to their clients, and create that lifelong relationship where people are coming back to you. I mean, I'm curious to, what's the formula for interest rate and refinance? So like, the last, 18 months, maybe, rates were considerably higher. If they start to drop down, is it 1%? Is that the general rule of thumb? Or do you take the closing cost, divide that by, whatever the monthly savings are and determine if it's refinance or not? And how many agents do you have that actually are helping make, reaching out to their past clients and reconnecting them for those refinance opportunities? Or when do you see that coming?
That's a great. I mean, that's my top LOs. That's why they're the top. They have that kind of strength, that kind of partnership with their agents, where their agents help them get refinance business, which really, has no benefit to the agent in that moment, other than continuing to provide a service for their client, who should be their client forever, right? I don't do magic formulas because every consumer is different. I mean, I used to have a call center back in the day. I used to refinance people before Christmas just so they could skip December's payment so they could give their family at Christmas. Right. And it was a terrible financial decision, like on paper, but everybody's situation was unique. They needed to do that because they wanted to provide that for their family. And there's like shortening the terms. So not only are I'm a big proponent of never take people out to a 30 unless they have a monthly budget situation, to where not only can we lower your rate, maybe it's only 0.5%, but if you take them from a 30 year to a 25 or to a 20, you're going to save them, depending on the loan amount, hundreds of thousands of dollars just by shortening the term and a bigger chunk of the payment going towards so to me, every single person is always eligible. There's always a way, but that's that call center nature in me, always trying to capture that business, trying to find a way to to grow my business and build that relationship with the customer. But industry-wide rule of thumb is probably 1%. And I think I would say it's longer than 18 months. I would say over the last 24 months, I know I have 17,000 purchase transactions I've done in the last couple of years that are eligible to refinance.
Wow.
We're this close. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, so I'm in Columbus now. I got 2 guys here. One guy used to run a big call center, and I have this unique situation of all of my LOs want to refinance that transaction because it's all relationship based. They did the purchase, but they're too busy to take the time to actually be efficient with it. They don't think that, but I know that, right? But we're competing against the better.coms and the Rockets, where their technology, and they have all these, people in a call center where they're going to call that customer and offer them a really good deal. We have an advantage because we have a relationship, but if we're not calling them first, then now we're in the disadvantage. So I rolled out a couple of years ago that you get to, if you do a purchase with me, I'll refinance it with no lender fees, which I think is going to pay huge dividends now because again, I would like to capture, and maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic, but I think we can capture 70% of all the purchases we've done. And that's a big, big initiative. But the one thing I tell everybody, especially my realtor partners, is during the last boom, during 2020 and 2021, I always prioritize purchase because it's relationship based, it's time sensitive, it's a contract, and it's very easy to chase that low hanging fruit. So we'll do the refinances and we'll make a lot of money from it, but I'm going to put a 45 to 60 day expectation turn time on it. And setting that expectation with commission employees is important. But my purchases will still be 15 days. I'm going to put all my top resources on the purchases. I'm going to continue to cater to my realtor referral partners, because without you guys referring me business, I have zero value, right? I mean, these refinances, you have no control over. You can't control when rates drop. You can control how you work them when you're in that position. But for the most part, with the amount of business that I do, everything I do is to service the person referring the business and to give the customer the best experience. That way they go back to everybody and we get a good review, and then they tell their friends, and it's just normal referral-based business. But
I'm sure you probably over the years have discovered, I've seen, these big refi booms, and people kind of shift their whole strategy to kind of focusing on that, lose some of the relationship value they have in agents during that time period. Maybe they make a little money during that time period, but then when that dries up, then they're scrambling to try to go back to, what was working for them before.
It's exactly like really what your message is. I think I was talking to Al Friday, and I'm super excited, by the way, about agent to CEO, because I'm going to try to get as many of my people to go, because I think that the message that you're sending in the speaker lineup, like I'm rearranging my travel to make sure I'd like to be there to listen to it. But it's either you can think like, I forget the word you said at the beginning, but you can think about making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, maybe for 1 year, maybe 2 years, depending on how long that boom lasts. But a millionaire's thinking about, how am I going to make this sustainable over a long period of time? And that's just exactly the message. Like you don't chase that low hanging fruit, because you'll fall into that trap and you'll be jumping ships. Before you know it, you'll be at five companies within 3 years trying to find this magical company that doesn't exist, right? Like in our world, it's really who you are as a person and how hard you work. Obviously, you have to have the platform and the products to do what you want to do, but you got to think big picture and long term. And I think your message is I have so many of my employees. I think I had 5 people make 7 figures last year.
Wow.
And I would like to get that number significantly up, but I have so many that are making that 300 to 500 that need this message, that need to hear from somebody other than me to get to that mindset of what they need to do to make 7 figures. And I think it's brilliant. So
I think too, Chuck, to your point, what you just said right there, and you see a lot of people that are bouncing, right? And it's kind of, recruiting season, kind of seasonality with agents, starting to make bounces and things right now. They closed out all of their stuff coming out of the summer. They don't have any business in the pipeline, and it's on them. But, I think it's that ownership mentality has to switch. But to what you're talking about, it's survival and status. And I think to your point, the millionaires are thinking about beyond status and into freedom and into, legacy, which is just bigger thinking.
Right.
And, really that's really what the whole agent to CEO concept is really around, is just change the way you think and get out of the survival, get out of the status, and get into, what you're doing, to unlock freedom and then ultimately have a greater impact.
Absolutely.
Love it. So
I got a question for you, Chuck. Are you teaching your LOs? Because you obviously have a phenomenal mindset, and you're helping people to see. I see what you're helping people to see is the lifetime value of a customer, a real estate agent for your LOs, right? Like the lifetime value of that one person that can bring you deals consistently is obviously a huge. It's a much different number than just thinking about just the consumer. Are you teaching your LOs, that relationship building and understanding of the lifetime value of that relationship? It's obvious that they want to get deals from realtors, but how are you coaching them differently? Because it sounds to me like y'all's production per LO is significantly better, at least for the top tier people you have for sure, than what I see a lot of lenders doing.
Yeah, I mean, so the way I describe it to people, and I think you'll probably appreciate this analogy, is, a realtor partnership is like buying a stock that pays a dividend, right? It's going to continue to pay dividends every single month. So when you do, if you refer me a deal, right, and I bust my butt and I work 24/7 for you, and I roll out the red carpet for your client, and I partnered with you and the title company provide this unbelievable experience, you're going to want to refer me business, right? And then you get a guy like me backing the LO, going to you, supporting you, buying leads with you, helping you grow your business. I'm really involved in a lot of co-marketing, MSAs and things on a national level. That versus if you are in the refinance world, I lived it. Like you're in a call center and every month you're starting from scratch. Maybe if you do a good job, if you're just knocking out 10 refis and maybe somebody refers their neighbor over, but it's not a referral based business. You're buying leads and it's very transaction based. So to me, it's buying that flyer. And I like flyers. I'm a big Bitcoin guy, and I've done really well with some of those things, but it's not something that, you want. You don't want your portfolio to be more than 10% flyers, right? You want your portfolio to be that consistent dividend paying stock that's going to be sustainable over a long period of time. And that's how I describe it. Like on the lending side, we can buy leads and we can buy purchase leads. They're tougher to handle. You can work with like financial advisors. Those are tough too, because those people typically want the best financial deal. And I run average margins. I'm not the cheapest guy in town, because you're paying for a service and I'm working 24/7 and I'm coaching that model. We're buying marketing. We're doing things like that. Similar to every realtor. Like there's nothing that drives me crazier than when an agent will say, I got to send out 3 lenders, because of RESPA, and they get involved in what my fees are and my costs are. And I had a top guy in Cleveland the other day said that to me. And I said to him, what would you do if this client that we mutually share, if I went to them and said, why don't you call Redfin? Why don't you call HomeSmart? Right? If you care so much about your fiduciary duty, right? Well, what would you say? Because shouldn't I do that? Or maybe you should yourself send them because they're going to do it for $500 or whatever, some flat fee or 1%. Again, I don't get involved in any of that because it doesn't affect me. And to me, you get what you pay for in life, whether it's, I'm learning that the hard way on a remodel with my house. And anytime I've ever went the cheap route, I have to redo it. And it ends up costing me more money in the long run. And so for me, I just try to treat people the best that I can. I try to be honest with them. Like I don't pretend to be the cheapest guy in town. I never have. And, but you get what you pay for. I'm going to pick up your phone call at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday night. I don't want to. Hopefully I'm not in that situation, but if you absolutely need me, I'm going to be there. And I coach my team to have that same mindset. And for me, at least for my model, and other people have different models, I'm 99% realtor purchase focused. And I built long-lasting friendships and relationships. And again, it's the dividend. It's the unbelievable stock that pays dividends forever. And you can have fun doing it. And you end up working, at least for me, like some of my best friends, like are people that I have a lot in common with. We go to concerts together. We do a lot of things together that just, it makes it not feel like work. We vacation together. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of, really, it seems like I know you guys are as thick as thieves. I don't really know what your guys' backstory are. It sounds like you're cousins, but I know from how you guys are living your best life, but you guys have become friends. And I think that's the ultimate win in life, right? Like we all work hard. We all want to make a lot of money, but when you can do it and share it with people that you just enjoy being around, that's kind of the win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Massive.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. And Jay and John don't know this, but when I still had Stasek Group before I sold the team, and you guys have, were always our go-to. When you talk about differentiation and that money moves the difference, not similarity. Mike, I gotta bring up Mike Meyer. Mike was the guy who would literally go out, and if we were listing a home that had a pool, Mike would show up, when we were listing and taking the photos and everything, and take his own video of him jumping into the pool with like either all his clothes on, tape. Hey, to be like, he just went over and above in shooting and helping, and like literally wasn't just like the guy taking orders. Okay, let me see if I can get you the best rate, which, and take, and really transactionally, he really took that relational, and Brad and Shireen. And it's like, I mean, those are the only people that I've had, actual experiences with, but I'm sure that it permeates through the rest of your group. They just look, I'm friends with pretty much every lender in Cleveland, and I had a lot of them as my preferred. And when you guys became my preferred, it stopped right there. And I believe that it's because of how you approached relationships. No one's done it like you guys. So congrats, hats off. I wish everyone else would operate that same way. I think we'd have a better industry overall, really, but you guys have certainly knocked the cover off the ball. So congrats.
Thanks, man. I got to convince, like, again, we all have our top people, our middle of the road people, and our bottom people. And I got a lot of work to do to continue to raise that bar, because a lot of my people, they don't get it. And
yeah,
that's just what it is. So we got a work cut out.
Well, we're going to work on getting you some more partners down there in Columbus. I got a few hungry young people down there that are ready to make some money. So
we're doing some special stuff here.
Yeah,
we're doing some special stuff here.
That's awesome, man. Let's shift over to this news of Sitzer. So pretty incredible. I know that you were mentioning, Chuck, that the flat fee, I'll do it for less, lenders exist in your world. And frankly, they've been around since before I probably had my license. I'm guessing 26 years or whatever, right? In fact, I started as Century 21, traditional, franchise type of brokerage, and then helped start a flat fee brokerage called Ohio State Realty that we grew before I started my my Remax team. So I've been in that world. I know what it's like. It is very transactional, but it's not new. What's funny is this guy, they win the lawsuit, disrupts the entire real estate industry, and he turns around and launches, and he like New York based, trying to raise money to launch this flat fee buy side brokerage. I guess one of the things you could do is you pay $49 per showing, or you could bundle and you get for $1,700 or $1,800, you get 5 showings and they'll write 1 contract for you. I mean, just the thought of that initially just sounds like the dumbest thing that anybody could really ever wake up and say this is a good idea, but he did. I'm actually excited about it because I can't wait to see all the VC money he flushes down the toilet. Maybe all of his friends that are like, yeah, here's $100,000, go run with it. That's exactly what's going to happen. Jay, I'd love your 2 cents on this one.
Because man. I think sometimes people have biases, right? Like he won this lawsuit and he's probably convinced himself that real estate agents are not the conduit to the transaction, or not important. It's just not how real estate's done. Buyers don't know which house they're going to buy. That's why they need a real estate agent. So, it's comical to me. You can go back to, we used to do, before our events, I would study CB Insights and all the VC money that was going into, all these companies, and it was billions and billions of dollars. Like the most expensive brokerage ever was Compass. They bought real estate agents, and that was kind of their strategy. And then there was Redfin, that again, probably the most expensive, trying to get consumer. They have great technology, but people don't want to deal with, an average agent that's not an expert when it comes to the deal. So, there's a subset of the market that will always want the cheapest. That's never going to, there's always going to be someone that wants the cheapest. But it's just a piece of the market. So he's going after a piece of the market that represents a small percentage of the overall marketplace. I mean, Zillow's tried to do it. You've got all these companies. Zillow's got more eyeballs than anybody. They couldn't figure out how to control the real estate transaction without the real estate agent. So to me, it's he's flushing some of this money down the drain. Hopefully, more of his than the venture capital money. But it's a small subset of the market. It always will be. It's always been there. It always will be. It's just a race to the bottom. If that's what he wants to try to do, good for him. Good luck with that. It's going to be hard to make a profit. Well,
and think about the type Chuck, you were bringing up recruiting. That word rings very. It brightens our day up when we hear that, because that's what we do. And when you think about the talent, you don't want to recruit the bottom of the barrel talent. At least I don't know anyone who would want to do that. We certainly do not want to do that. We want the next emerging leaders. We want big thinkers. We want people that want to play like a pro, not like an amateur. And who do you think is going to be attracted to this new flat fee model? I mean, you mentioned Redfin. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but we're actually just brought an agent over from Redfin because they announced they are no longer paying salaries to their agents. They're going to be going on to a commission-based model as of, I think, January of next year, or it might be February of next year. But they're going to be expected to do all the same tasks, which is crazy, which is why this agent, is yeah, guys, I'm coming to EXP. I can't stay here. Like once you take that, it's been great, but I'm getting a paycheck, a W-2 paycheck. It's there every single 2 weeks. I'm getting paid. Now I'm going to be on this commission base. I might as well go work for one of the best companies, which is he came to us. So I just think that no agent worth their salt is going to want to do that. Would love your take on it, Chuck. I mean, you guys compete with some discount types of brokerages, and what do you see when possibly like a client that you guys ended up having to work with, they previously were in one of those shops. Maybe they didn't get the job done. Maybe they ended up losing out on the house because they couldn't get the loan closed on time or at all, and they end up in your camp. What have you seen from a perspective of, here's the cheapest and here's the Shackelford group with cross country as it relates to flat fees?
You get your better.com, or you got, some kid with an ankle bracelet on in a call center somewhere doing the loan for $20. So the pricing super lean, and, nobody can ever qualify for, you can't hit a button and get a mortgage, right? Like you've seen that kind of go away. Like I have good credit and I make good money and I got nice things, but I'm a son of a bitch to get approved for a mortgage. Like I'm going to need a really good LO to get me approved. Like there's no way a place like that could do it. I would say, and I wish I had facts, but if I had to guess, I would say 1 out of 20 could do a cookie cutter type mortgage, where one out of 20 people could have a W-2 job, a really low DTI, no blemishes on their credit ever. And 1 out of 20 is probably even low. So nobody qualifies for those products. So therefore you need somebody to hold your hand, to walk you through the process. And really one of the toughest things is just comparing their previous experience. A lot of times, if you bought a house in 08, this is what you did in 08. So that you don't want to have to do these things. And you need somebody to just tell you, this is what you got to do. This is why you got to do it. And customers are a pain in the ass, right? Everybody's a pain in the ass. Some of my best friends are the worst customers because they just expect that everything's going to be done with them. And they don't understand that there are insurances involved and reps and warrants and all of these things that I can't wave a magic wand. We got to do it the right way. We got to get computer findings, all to maximize their best deal for them. And I don't know. I used to get caught up into it, and every company's going to have some kind of niche product, or else they wouldn't exist, right? And so their niche product should be the best in that market, whether it's an OFA loan. Like I know our local fairway in Ohio, they brag about being the best at OFA, and that's great. And they tell everybody I don't like doing them, and I like to make money. It's not that I don't like doing OFA loans. They're we do them because we need to have that in our arsenal, but we don't make money doing them. And I'm a businessman trying to make money. And I'm very honest about that. And if they want to be number one at OFA loans, I'll be number one at everything else and all the loans that make money, and they can be number one at that one. And if that works for them, great. But there's always a company that's going to come out with some gimmick, some bullshit. And I don't know. This one's really wild to me, and I love what you said about the VC money, because it's going to be exciting to watch from the outside. And the biggest thing I think that probably a lot of people don't think about or talk about is the market conditions, right? Like, there's no better value for a buying agent, right, when it's a different market, when houses aren't flying off the shelf, right? Like right now, houses sell quickly, but it's not that long ago where agents really had to work, and they would show houses for a year and really have to be really a master of their craft from a listing side to really differentiate their house. A buying agent had to help get that person to want the transaction. And there was a much bigger skill set now. Not that agents don't need to be skilled now. It's a different market. And so what is their business model going to be when you have to show houses for 6 months or a year? Yeah. You do the math in those scenarios. What does that look like? Right.
Yeah.
So
it's real easy to get rich on a spreadsheet. I've done it. We'll see how Mr. Seitzer plays that out. But you brought up a pretty good point, I think worth mentioning before we wrap this up, Chuck. But I think that when I worked with the best lenders, they made me look good with my client. And I think it's reversed too. I think the best lenders, they don't want to work with subpar amateur agents. They want to work with the pros. Because it's going to help them close that loan easier. They're working with the client equally. As far as the attention to the detail, you have that advantage and it helps you and your processors get everything that they need so you can get it across the finish line. And when you're working with a subpar agent, a discount agent, and I lived that life for a while. And even when I was a discount, I consider myself a good agent, but the problem was this. I had to do double the amount of transactions to make the same money. And we only have so much time. So what do you think happens to the level of service when one individual has to juggle, 20 sales per month versus maybe doing 10 a month? That 10 a month is a lot. Imagine trying to do 20 because you're trying to make the same money. Something has to give. And in that world. So, man, I appreciate your insight. It was super fun having you on the podcast, and I can't wait to see you Agent to CEO. And of course, we got Gary LaVox afterwards. It's going to be a blast. Yes. We got.
I've been pushing for that for like 5 years. I've been telling you. As soon as I knew you had some kind of connection to for an intro, so I'm super pumped.
I'm excited too, man. Anything else you want to wrap up, Johnny?
No, it's fantastic. I mean, everything, Chuck, you shared really, really resonates with who we are at our core, coming from, a place of, consultative with whoever, your customer is the agent, agents, customers, buyers, sellers. And so, understanding the alignment being, congruent to each other, we always looked and, to Jay's point, right. We would go with the lender that aligned with our vision, the mission we were on, and a core value fit, and really wanted to deliver the experience and focus on that lifetime value. And, we left money on the table to just have the right person. And I think that's an important message for agents, instead of chasing support for vendors, not just lenders, but all vendors. And it's like, you got to match the experience or there's no lifetime value. And that's really important in putting the right team together to execute on this into the future.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, fellas. Well, hey, great seeing everybody. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks, Cleveland, Ohio. Get your tickets. If you can't make it to agent to CEO, just go to rnrcle.com and get your Gary LaVox tickets. We got Dusty Black coming into town. Oh
Yep.
boy.
Oh boy.
He's going to light it up. Them boots. And my great friend Shane DeMoss is coming up from Dayton to open everything up. Doors open at 6:30. Music starts at 7. That's Thursday, the 19th. Check out WGAR. We have spots running as of today, actually, for the next 2 weeks, all the way up into showtime. That show will sell out. I'm guessing within 3 days before the show, we're going to have to cut off ticket sales. I think the fire chief says 1,000. They have to cut it off at 1,000. We may squeeze in 1,100. Can't wait to see y'all there. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Appreciate you guys. See you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Appreciate it, Chuck.